No, no, forgive me. Wu, please forgive me. Heshi didn't go to see him again, but she just spoke to Qing Wan indifferently, ruin his face so that the person who buys him will not recognize him as Nalan Zhengze, then ask Chen Bai to send him to the slave market. Yes, miss. Qing Wan took care of Nalan Zhengze, then she handed the person to Chen Bai who was lurking in the mansion before returning to Heshi. Heshi was sitting in Ling Yue's courtyard at this time, staring at the depressed scenery in the garden in a daze. Qing Wan reported in her ear, Chen Bai has asked people to disperse Nalan Mansion's subordinates. When they heard that the master of Nalan Mansion was dead, they didn't even stay for a moment. They all ran away without looking back. Heshi nodded and took a sip of the tea in her hand. Qing Wan glanced at Mrs. Nalan, who was still in a coma in the corner of the room and said, Miss, what about that person? Heshi glanced at her and said lightly, Give her the antidote, throw her out of Nalan Mansion, and let her perish on her own. Miss, you don't kill her? I heard she bullied you too. Heshi laughed. Murong Yaru and Nalan Feishue are nothing more than poor things sacrificed by the Nalan family. Nalan Feishue thought that she can be arrogant and can trample Nalan Heshi under her feet, but in fact she doesn't know she is just a pawn used by Nalan Zhengze to monitor and test Nalan Heshi. The same is true for Mrs. Nalan. Now that these two chess pieces have lost their effect, they have been completely abandoned by the Nalan family. Although I hate them for humiliating Nalan Heshi at the beginning, they have now received their due retribution. Being sold and abandoned by the people closest to them, and lost everything. Such punishment is enough for them. Qing Wan nodded again and again. A smile appeared on his face. Miss, don't worry, I understand. The two of them talked, and no one paid attention to Mrs. Nalan who was unconscious in the corner. So they didn't see that water stains flowed down from Mrs. Nalan's bloody face, which made the messy face even hideous. One night later, the people in Yanjing City were horrified to find that the Nalan family, which was originally one of the four major families, was completely empty overnight. Several houses inside collapsed. The front and rear yards were smashed into a mess. All valuable things were messed up and left on the ground. The most frightening thing was that no one can be seen in the entire huge mansion. The streets were full of people discussing this matter. Thinking of the extinctions of Murong family and Ouyang family that happened recently, now it was the Nalan family's turn. It made the martial artists feel uneasy. Why is Nalan Mansion destroyed? Isn't Dr. Nalan's reputation always very good? Who would have trouble with him? I heard that many martial artists from sects and aristocratic families rushed into the Nalan family yesterday. Everyone was fierce and vicious. It seemed like they went to reason with Dr. Nalan. I heard that the Join Lingshan pill that Dr. Nalan sold is fake. It has no effect at all. What? Juku Lingshan pill was promoted as a magical medicine. How much benefit did the Nalan family get with this medicinal pill? How could it be fake? If Juku Lingshan pill is really fake, then it makes sense for the Nalan family to be eliminated. I think it must be done by those who were deceived by Dr. Nalan. This Yanjing City is really a scary place. There is only one Huangfu family left in the four major families. Will all the Huangfu family be destroyed? My cousin is still serving as a guard inside. Otherwise, I think I still tell him to leave early. On the streets of Yanjing City, everyone was talking about it. At this time, Heshi was standing alone in the most beautiful waterwood domain in the sealed dragon domain, stunned. In front of her was Mammy Chen's tombstone. Beside Mammy Chen's tombstone, there was also a small circle of stone monuments without a name. What placed in this tombstone was the old clothes of Nalan Heshi. Heshi stretched out her hand, gently pressed it on the tombstone, and said softly, Nalan Heshi, you will surely meet your mother and Mammy Chen who loves you in the afterworld, right? You stay and live a good life with them from now on. Choose a better life to reincarnate in your next life. In this world, all the people you cared for, I will take care of them for you. Above the tombstone, the willow leaf fluttered gently with the breeze, bringing a fresh breath, as if to tell Nalan Heshi's gratitude and blessings. Heshi reached out and grabbed the willow leaf that was fluttering in front of her. As she was about to shove it away, she suddenly felt that she was embraced in a warm and broad embrace. Nangong Yu's deep and magnetic voice sounded in her ears. Sheer, escape to this sealed dragon domain alone without telling me. You knew that there are many enchantments in this sealed dragon domain, and I can't enter without Sheer's permission. Are you intending to run away from me? Really disobedient. Heshi turned around, pressed his chest in annoyance, and chuckled. Your Royal Highness King of Hell, is there any place in the Miluo continent that can stop your King of Hell? This sealed dragon domain's enchantments are strong, but I think it is impossible to stop you, King of Hell, right? Didn't you just come in without my permission? Nangong Yu grabbed her hand, put it to his lips and kissed it. He then smiled and said, as a man who can match Sheer, of course, I must be strong enough. Shameless. Hushi blushed and pushed him away. Since you have come in, why not I take you to stroll around sealed dragon domain? Wait. Nangong Yu pulled her back into his arms, pointed to the tombstone and asked, Sheer, whose tombstone is this? Why not write the name? Hushi glanced at the small tombstone without words. She said softly with a serene expression, It's an old friend of mine. Nangong Yu frowned, clasped her chin, and turned her face to him. What kind of old friend? I don't even know. Heshi smiled slightly, I can't say it, at least not yet. Purple light gleamed in the clear and beautiful phoenix eyes. It seemed to bury endless vicissitudes and the vast world. Nangong Yu looked at the beautiful girl in front of him, feeling that she was far away from him inexplicably, as if she would slip away from his hand at any time. He suddenly reached out and hugged her into his arms, and he whispered in a low voice, Sheer, I cannot ask your secrets. But promise me, never run away from me. Heshi was silent for a long time, and she hugged him back. Nangong Yu, as long as you don't betray me and abandon me, I will never leave you. The two got their sweet moment for a while, then Heshi began to take Nangong Yu strolling around in the sealed dragon domain. Although Nangong Yu had been to sealed dragon domain's secret territory a long time ago, all the ultimate deadly enchantments were activated by the time. Each place he went into was a life-threatening crisis. Even if he wanted to visit it properly, there was no way. But now that Heshi had become the master of this secret realm, the thing was different. Every plant, tree, enchantment, and even ferocious beast were under Heshi's control. Nangong Yu held Heshi's hand as they wandered among the beautiful scenery of green mountains and green waters. Heshi couldn't help turning her head and asked, Did you know long ago that I'm the new owner of the sealed dragon domain's secret territory? Nangong Yu nodded without hesitation. He even put up a proud expression of, Your man is just smart, on his face. Hushi laughed, but she couldn't help being curious. When did you know? Stupid Sheer. Nangong Yu stretched out his hand and scratched the tip of her nose, and he said with a slight smile, When others lost their treasures in the secret realm, you took out so many treasures in the secret realm to give to me. You even gave me the imitation version of sealed dragon sword to me. Weren't you telling me that you are the new master of the sealed dragon domain? Heshi blushed immediately. She was worried about Nangong Yu's safety at that time. She really didn't think so much. Nangong Yu liked her inadvertent trust to him very much. He held her and kissed her several times until Heshi got angry and pushed him away. Of course, it was not only Heshi in the sealed dragon domain, but there were also many slaves purchased by Shisan. These slaves were originally born miserably, but after following Heshi, they enjoyed a life like heaven. Especially those who had no cultivation and were treated like trash, their cultivation was soaring at a crazy speed. This made them happy and joyful in their hearts, and they worshipped Heshi as a god. Now, the servants in the sealed dragon domain occasionally saw Nangong Yu and Heshi walked by. They only saw the handsome and unparalleled looks of the male and the charming beautiful female. The attitude of intimacy made people just think they are a perfect pair. They couldn't help feeling delighted that their miss could find such a suitable man. So, in just half a day, the news that their miss and her husband were walking together in the sealed dragon domain together spread throughout the secret realm. Except for Xiaoli, Shijia and others who were cultivating in a retreat. Even Ouyang Haoshuan, who had just recovered from his injuries, knew about it. Heshi and Nangong Yu passed by the bottom of the valley where they encountered the Dapeng bird. He looked at the familiar scene and couldn't help but smile. The Nangong Yu whom I met in the beginning was probably the most desolate Nangong Yu I have ever seen. Nangong Yu squeezed her cheek. His voice had the hint of a smile, but it sounded a little unwilling and depressed. The one who entered Sealed Dragon Domain's secret territory that day was actually a clone of my fundamental essence. Its cultivation level was only equivalent to the initial stage of nascent soul. If it was in a real fight, it might not be able to defeat Feng Yunjing. This was the second time He heard him mention fundamental essence's clone. She couldn't help but look up at him in surprise. Nangong Yu suddenly stretched out his hand and hugged He tightly, his face full of annoyance. I didn't expect you to enter Sealed Dragon Domain's secret territory, let alone that you would conflict with Feng family. If I knew it, I would definitely use a stronger clone so that it is strong enough to protect you in the secret realm, and you wouldn't hurt as well. He remembered everything that happened outside the Purple Golden Palace that day. She snorted coldly, not powerful enough? You obviously saw Feng Lingyin couldn't move. Thinking of the scenes at that time, He's heart still had the long-lost hostility and depression. Her figure flickered, and she brought Nangong Yu to the Greenwood Domain, where the Purple Golden Palace inherited. This place had changed a lot now. Of course, the Purple Golden Palace had long since disappeared, but now there were some houses in the original Purple Golden Palace. Although these houses were not gorgeous and exquisite, they were connected in a circle. They looked indescribably warm and elegant. But He looked at the scene in front of her without a smile on her face. What she remembered was an unpleasant past. The past was like a fishbone stuck in her throat. It wasn't that she still cared about Nangong Yu's attitude at the time. After all, the relationship between the two was far less intimate than it was now. What she cared about was that Nangong Yu turned coldly to heal Feng Lianying at that time. Was it because he believed Feng Lianying's words and regarded He as a despicable person who did dirty tricks behind the scenes? That day, Feng Lianying and I took the Purple Golden Palace inheritance test together, and she failed. But when I accepted the inheritance, she sneak-attacked me. If it weren't for Little Egg and Little Golden Dragon risking their lives to save me, if it weren't for Zhou Yanan and Gu Lufeng rushing here by the time, I might have died in Feng Lianying's hands. Nangong Yu's body trembled suddenly. He stretched out his hand to hug her tightly, and he said in a hoarse voice, "Sheer, stop talking." He smiled faintly, her expression full of relief. I always don't like to explain, but Nangong Yu, you are different after all, so I'm willing to tell you the thoughts in my heart. That day, I made a narrow escape from Feng Lianying's hands, then you came. I thought you would choose to protect me and believe me, but you chose to stand beside Feng Lianying and show me a ruthless figure of your back. You even wanted to kill Gu Lufeng, but you never thought that I would have died in Feng Lianying's hands if Gu Lufeng didn't come. He was my savior. The hands that Nangong Yu hugged her trembled slightly. His eyes seemed to be filled with emotions like countless stormy waves. His voice became hoarse and low as if it contained countless regrets, pity and love. Sheer, I was wrong. I was dazzled by jealousy at that time. Seeing you and Gu Lufeng together, seeing you whispered softly to Gu Lufeng, I was going crazy. Feng Lianying, I never had feelings for her, but at that time I sent too few people into the valley, and the strength of the Feng family was too strong. I was afraid they would harm you. I only thought I couldn't offend them. Sheer, I have never loved other people like you, so I don't know how to deal with such a turbulent love. Sometimes the feelings and possessiveness that are tumbling in my heart even make me afraid. I'm afraid that I will hurt you and scare you away from me. She said what she had hidden in her heart for a long time, and she felt relieved. Hearing his incoherent confession at this time, she couldn't help but laugh. Nangong Yu, why are you aggrieved like I bullied you? It's fine, I'm just revisiting the old place, and I was just touched by my emotions. Let's not discuss this topic anymore. Nangong Yu didn't let go of her, but he hugged her tighter. Sheer, I really can't. Before Nangong Yu ended his sentence, He pushed him away. Her face was full of shame. Her gaze was looking not far ahead. Her tone was lowered due to guilty conscience and embarrassment, but she still tried to maintain her calm. Ouyang Haoshuan, when did you stand there? Hearing this, Nan Gongyu immediately removed the surging love and affection in his eyes and looked coldly to the side. They saw a young man wearing a white brocade. He had with slanted eyebrows and star eyes, and he was tall and straight, but his face was pale and haggard. Nan Gongyu recognized him almost at a glance, Ouyang Haoshuan, the only son of the Ouyang family. But just because he recognized him, Nan Gongyu's eyes showed an unbelievable look. The man in front of him looked exactly like Ouyang Haoshuan, but he was totally different from the Ouyang Haoshuan he had in mind. After his meridians were severed and he had experienced all the joys and sorrows of life for more than 1 year, Ouyang Haoshuan's temperament had become introverted and gloomy. But the man in front of him couldn't be just described as gloomy. His whole body was covered with thick darkness, and his eyes were as deep as stagnant water. There was only endless darkness in there. Ouyang Haoshuan was even closer to darkness as compared to him who cultivated in the dark spiritual power. It was as if the person standing in front of him was not an individual, but the evil Shura climbing up from hell. Moreover, if he remembers correctly, wasn't Ouyang Haoshuan's cultivation a few months ago was only at the intermediate level of the gold core, right? But now, not to mention that his cultivation was close to the peak of the gold core stage, there was also the faint fire spiritual power emanating from his body that made Nan Gongyu feel a little scruple. He frowned slightly, and his eyes on Ouyang Haoshuan were full of scrutiny. Ouyang Haoshuan was also looking at him. The look in his eyes was unwavering, but it brought a faint hint of inspecting and ice cold. The cold and gloomy aura exuded from the eyes, making Nan Gongyu feel unspeakably depressed. Heshi had told Nan Gongyu about General Ouyang's death by Feng Yunjing, including Ouyang Haoshuan's recognition of her as his master. She just concealed the fact that Ouyang Haoshuan had fire element spirit pearl in his body. After all, according to her master, fire element spirit pearl was too rare and precious. It was coveted by everyone else. If fire element spirit pearl was on her, she certainly didn't mind telling Nan Gongyu, but she couldn't expose the location of fire element spirit pearl without Ouyang Haoshuan's permission. It would only add danger to him. Although Nan Gongyu was mentally prepared, Ouyang Haoshuan was no longer the original Ouyang Haoshuan, but when he saw him, he was still shocked. Because of the current Ouyang Haoshuan gave him a feeling that even he couldn't see through. At this time, Heshi finally got over. Seeing Ouyang Haoshuan remain silent, she couldn't help calling out, "Ouyang Haoshuan? Are you okay?" Ouyang Haoshuan regained his senses immediately. He put on a gentle smile and looked at Heshi. "Don't worry, I'm completely healed." It was just this look and one sentence that suddenly turned the surprise in Nan Gongyu's eyes into alert. He almost instinctively stretched out his hand and took Heshi into his arms. He whispered into her ears as if to announce his authority, "Sheer, I'm bored with this place, let's go to other places?" Heshi blushed, only to think that Nan Gongyu was so rascal and shameless that even she was helpless. But she still couldn't bear to disappoint Nan Gongyu, so she nodded. "Ouyang Haoshuan, we'll go first, make yourself at home." She waved at Ouyang Haoshuan, then she was going to bring Nan Gongyu to another secret domain. Suddenly, she thought of something. She smiled and said, "Oh, right, since your injury has healed, I will take you out in 2 days. Although the Feng family people are looking for you everywhere now, it's fine now. At that time, I will help you to change your face. Although it isn't good if they found out, I still can catch a few insignificant juniors to vent out your grievance." Ouyang Haoshuan's eyebrows revealed a faint smile. He was looking straight at her. He just said faintly, "Okay, I'll wait for you to help me disguise." After Heshi finished explaining, without any hesitation, she mind-controlled the domain space and their figures slowly disappeared from this water-moon domain. Before the figure disappeared completely, Nan Gongyu's cold and stern eyes met Ouyang Haoshuan's serene eyes. A hint of warning in his eyes flashed away. "Ouyang Haoshuan, don't think I can't tell. Your eyes, which are colder than dead water, will only shine brightly when you look at Sheer. What kind of eyes you are looking at Sheer, and in what mood you were signing a master-servant contract with Sheer. However, Ouyang Haoshuan, whatever you think is useless. Because Sheer is destined to be mine." Heshi took Nan Gongyu to the burning sky domain. As the name suggests, Burning Sky Domain was the place where flames soared into the sky, so the temperature here is extremely high. But for martial artists such as Nangong Yu and Heshi, this heat was nothing. Heshi's divine sense moved and she immediately conveyed her ideas. Only less than a minute later, 10 people including Shi Jia and she appeared in front of Heshi excitedly. At the moment, their skins were indescribably dark and rough. Not sure if they were sunburned or scratched by the wind, all of their bodies were covered with scars. However, compared with a few months ago, their spirits today were completely different. Heshi could clearly perceive that they had reached the foundation establishment stage. They were even above the intermediate level of the foundation establishment stage. Shi Jia even reached the peak of the foundation establishment stage. Heshi felt very satisfied. It seemed that Shi Jia and the others hadn't been slacking off during this time. When Shi Jia and the others saw Heshi, they immediately bowed and knelt down. Their eyes full of enthusiasm and admiration. "Miss, you are finally back." Heshi nodded and got them up. She probed the bodies of 10 people with spiritual power, and she found that their physical foundations had been very stable. Next, they could finally cultivate the celestial demon mystic extreme art. Very good. Heshi put a smile on her face. "You all didn't slacken your cultivation progress for even a day. I'm very satisfied." Shi Jia quickly said on behalf of the others, "Miss gave us such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If we miss it due to our laziness, how can we forgive ourselves?" Heshi turned and looked at Nangong Yu. "What do you think of their talent in cultivating physique?" Nangong Yu looked at her with adoring eyes, and he complimented with no standards at all. The subordinates trained by Sheer are naturally the best. However, he just felt particularly displeased when he thought of Sheer be with a group of men every day and even trained them earnestly. Heshi pushed him a bit and said annoyingly, "Don't just try to flatter me." Nangong Yu squeezed the tip of her nose before smiling softly. "The 10 of them don't have the talent for cultivating physique, and of course, their talent in training spiritual power too. But someone seems to have changed their muscles and physique with medicine, making their foundation solid. Now that they are training with such a strange method, if it's calculated according to the normal rank of the physique training, they should have at least reached the blood replacement period. Because the advancement of physique training is very slow, their current advancement speed can already be called super fast." The conversation between the two really shocked Shi Jia and the others. Why is the handsome man who is exuding an intimidating demeanor and has unfathomable cultivation? Why is he so intimate to Miss? Could it be that this is our Miss's husband? Wait, in this world, what kind of man is worthy of our Miss? Is his cultivation high? Is his family background good? Does he have any concubine? Can he be obedient to Miss in the future? How old are Misses? Why is this man already eyeing her? Thinking of this, the gazes of Shi Jia and others at Nangong Yu were suddenly full of alert and hostility. Heshi didn't notice the emotional changes of Shi Jia and others. And Nangong Yu, even if he noticed, he wouldn't care. He had always cared about Heshi alone. They are now cultivating a physique cultivation method called Celestial Demon Mystic Extreme Art. Heshi frowned. "I'm not a martial artist of physique training, and I don't know the system of physique training much. Nangong Yu, if you are free, can you give them some pointers?" Nangong Yu nodded without hesitation. "My wife has an order for me, how dare I don't obey?" Heshi rolled her eyes on him as a response. "Will this man die if he doesn't take advantage on my words?" But Shi Jia couldn't help but looked at Nangong Yu suspiciously. "Miss, this young master is also a physique cultivator? Has he reached the blood replacement period?" In fact, the people below Heshi worshipped her blindly while turning a blind eye to other experts. Shisan was like this, but after all, he had been the housekeeper of Naylan Mansion for several years. He still knew not to offend the people with identity in the outside world. But Shi Jia and others, their misfortune in the first half of their lives and their luck in the second half of their lives were in sharp contrast. For them, Heshi was their god, their idol. No matter how powerful were the other martial artists, they were absolutely impossible to compare with Mississippi. What's more, the man in front looked very handsome, but his age was just a few years elder than hers. At this age, can he really have a great breakthrough in physique cultivation? Impossible, right? Hushi was taken aback when she heard Shijia's questioning, then she couldn't help but giggle. Then it became a loud laugh. It was the first time that she saw someone look down on Nan Gongyu and questioned his strength. Shijia, can you all don't be so cute and straightforward? Nan Gongyu hugged the girl who was laughing in a tremble, and he tapped her forehead in annoyance. Heartless little girl, are you so happy to see me making a fool of myself? Although he was reprimanding, his voice was full of doting and joy. He seemed to love Hushi laughing so presumptuously in front of him. Hushi was enough laughing, then she coughed slightly and looked at Shijia and the others, who were a little confused. Before speaking, she couldn't help but smile, her eyes filled with sly smiles. Shijia, the person standing in front of you is also a physique cultivator, and he has reached the bone tempering state. Oh, bone tempering? Shijia and the others exclaimed strongly, how is this possible? He looks so young. Physique training was different from spiritual power training. Spiritual power training was to use spiritual power to cycle the whole body, and spiritual power itself had the effect of rejuvenating one's look. What about physique training? Physique training was to constantly temper the body. The person's muscles and bones would become strong and powerful, but there was no way to stay young. If it was a female physique cultivator, she would become more and more rough and ugly. But the man in front was so handsome. He looks like he is just in his early 20s. How can he possibly reach the bone tempering state? The bone tempering state of physique training, compares with spiritual power training, is between the level of gold core stage and nascent soul stage. Without at least 100 years of training, even if he is a genius, it is still impossible to reach, right? Hushi was only laughing without saying a word. She still couldn't resist laughing in her mind. Knowing that they didn't believe it, Nan Gongyu couldn't help but snort. He suddenly stretched out his hand to grab, and a fire crystal stone not far away flew into his palm. Under the astounding gaze of Shijia and others, Nan Gongyu exerted force in his hand. The fire crystal stone instantly turned into powder and scattered away. During the period, Shijia and others did not feel any spiritual power fluctuations in Nan Gongyu. And the fire crystal stone had such a hot temperature, but it didn't hurt Nan Gongyu a bit. They widened their eyes. Their eyes not only had doubt and alert, but they were full of astonishment. The fire crystal stones in this burning sky domain were all very high level. They couldn't stand it even if they touched them with their hands, but the man in front of them could actually crush the fire crystal stones into powder. This kind of strength, this kind of intensity, it is indeed very likely that he has reached the bone tempering state. But how old is he? How can he reach the bone tempering state? Shigue, the most straightforward of the 10, and the only woman among the 10, could not help blurting out, "Miss, how old is this young master? Could it be that he looks young but he is already about 80 years old? Miss, he is so old, he really isn't a good match for you." Before Shigue finished speaking, Hushi couldn't help laughing out loud. This time, she really did not have any scruples at all, even tears came out. Nan Gongyu, that's King of Hell Nan Gongyu. He is said to be the dream man of many girls, but now he is being despised by Shigue for being old? Nan Gongyu's face was dark and scary, and he really wanted to tear the mouths of these people. She actually said that I'm old? I'm not worthy of sheer? Do these people want to die, or they want to die 10,000 times? However, hearing Hushi burst into laughter and seeing that she was so happy, he couldn't help showing a helpless look. He held her tightly and also patted her back with the other hand to prevent her from being out of breath by laughing. When Hushi was done laughing, she then pushed Nan Gongyu away and looked at Shijia and others again. Right, I forgot to introduce his identity to you. Shijia and the others were also full of doubts at this time, not knowing what their miss was laughing at. Coupled with seeing their miss being so intimate with him, they couldn't wait to know the identity of this future master. Hushi retrieved the smile on her face and said lightly, "His name is Nan Gongyu." Nan Gongyu? Called Nan Gongyu? What's so strange about that? Suddenly, Shii among the 10 was stunned and let out an exclamation, Nangongyu? Isn't he the king of Hell Nangongyu who reached the nascent soul stage at the age of 20? They were slaves at the bottom, but it didn't mean that they didn't even know the Jinling Kingdom's first powerhouse, Miluo Continent's first peerless genius, King of Hell, Nangongyu. Hashi smiled and nodded, and, although I don't know if there is a second Nangongyu in this world, this is the only one I know. What? Your Royal Highness King of Hell? The King of Hell who repelled the magical beast army. But isn't your Royal Highness King of Hell a master of nascent soul stage? Why does he still training in physique? King of Hell is only in his early 20s now? How could it be possible to reach the bone-tempering state? Is it that he has a dual cultivation of spiritual power and physique? How is this possible? Such a person has never appeared in the Miluo continent in thousands of years. One after another discussion sounded from Shijia and other people, and everyone's faces were full of shock and amazement. This time, their gazes at Nangongyu have completely changed. There was not a trace of frivolity, not a trace of doubt. Many people even lowered their eyes and dared not look directly at his deep eyes. Nangongyu was very satisfied with their reaction and finally showed a little smile on his face. Even despised me for being old. Even said I'm not worthy of Sheer. However, he thought so in his heart, but his face was still indifferent. There wasn't any emotion on his face. Sheer is my future princess. Since you are Sheer's confidants and suitable for physique training, I will naturally guide you. After I have read the Celestial Demon Mystic Extreme Art, I will come to check your progress one by one. I will see what I can do by then. Shijia and others were overjoyed. They may doubt the cultivation and ability of a young master, but what if this young master was the famous King of Hell? Their doubt and alert were all gone. Many people even thought that their miss was so excellent, so only His Royal Highness King of Hell could be worthy of her in this world. Thank you, Master, also meant for the husband of Hashi, for your guidance. Shijia suddenly returned to his senses and knelt down. Shijia knelt, and the other 9 people immediately recovered, knelt down and thanked. Nangongyu smiled slightly. He was quite satisfied with this, master. His intention of teaching them a lesson had reduced by a lot. She was sweating, master? They get bought over so quickly. After sending away Shijia and the others, Hashi went to visit Shao Tan in the desert. Shaoli was now in the most dangerous beast-gathering area in the desert. Most of the beasts were rank 4 or 5. Under the siege of a group of rank 4 or 5 magical beasts, it would be deadly if she was careless. So when Heshi entered the desert, she didn't use the spiritual pet contract to summon Shaoli. Instead, she planned to take Nangongyu to leisurely travel all the way to see the current cultivation progress of Shaoli. However, not long after they entered the desert realm, suddenly a figure rushed from a distance like a dashing wind. This figure was not a human being, but a little fox with white fur all over. There were 3 tails behind the little fox. The little fox ran extremely fast. When Hashi recovered, it already rushed to the front of Hashi excitedly. Without waiting for Hashi to speak, the little fox's figure flickered, transformed into a little girl, and jumped into Hashi's arms. Miss Wu, why you didn't come to see Shaoli for long? Shaoli held Hashi tightly, rubbing her little head in her arms. Her voice was ecstatic and was sobbing. Hashi always felt sorry for the little fox who had suffered all kinds of hardships. Hearing her words, she couldn't help but touch her hair lightly. She said softly, "Okay, don't cry. I'm just afraid I will disturb your cultivation. How is your progress now?" Shaoli burst into laughter when she heard the words. As she channeled her spiritual power, 3 huge white tails appeared behind her. She looked like a kid asking for praise and candy, looking at Hashi earnestly and shaking the little tails behind her. "Miss, look, I have 3 tails now. I won't be caught so easily. My mind control technique has also improved a lot. I will be able to help Miss in the future." Hashi looked at her crystal clear eyes. They were filled with Hashi's shadow. She couldn't help but smile and touch her head. She praised, My Shaoli is indeed amazing. You can cultivate 2 tails in such a short time. Xiao Li laughed, and her face flushed like a cute apple. When she turned her head, she saw Nangong Yu standing beside Heshi, her eyes widened. She was bewildered at first, then she suddenly remembered it. She exclaimed, "Ah, I know you. You are the beautiful brother who came to our courtyard to get free food and drink." Get free food and drink. Beautiful brother. Nangong Yu felt that his mouth had twitched more today than in the past 20 years of his life. What are these people around Shir? Heshi gave a low cough, held back her laugh, and did not dare to provoke Nangong Yu anymore. He was already angry enough today. Xiao Li, don't be rude to guests. Who said I'm a guest? Nangong Yu took Heshi into his arms. He didn't care about polluting the pure mind of the little fox and kissed the back of her neck fiercely. Although the kiss wasn't very intense, he showed his authority in an arrogant manner. The little fox's eyes widened seeing that. After a long time, the little girl stammered, "Miss, how can, Sister Xiao Li is stupid." Before Heshi spoke, Little Egg's voice had sounded. He said with excitement and pride, "Because the beautiful brother is a daddy, because he is a daddy so he can play kiss-kiss with mom. In the future, they will sleep in one bed and give birth to a baby." Alright. This time it was Heshi's turn to be ashamed. She was about to go rampage. Who is the master of this little egg? Why are you always helping that bastard Nangong Yu every time? Wasn't he just gave you a few treasures? Okay, he gave you a few valuable treasures. This miser with no conscience. However, Nangong Yu's face immediately looked better. His face was full of complacency, and his eyes softened as he looked at Little Egg. "Little one," nicely said, "I'll give him some treasures when I go back." Xiao Li was still a little ignorant about giving birth to a baby, but after hearing Little Egg's words, she felt that this beautiful brother and Miss were close, and her Miss liked him very much. Okay then, I love those whose Miss loves. I won't dislike this beautiful brother. After Little Egg came out, Little Golden Dragon, Little Dumb Cow and Purple Abyss Vine also ran out of the void. Xiao Qi, who had a much better look than some time ago, also came out from the void. The spiritual power in the void was the strongest. Heshi wanted to let Xiao Qi stay in the void for a while, so he could make up for the vitality lost in the past few years. But Xiao Qi had a frightened temper due to being caged for a long time. At this time, he was brought out together with Little Egg. His eyes were beaming as he shouted excitement. Xiao Li was certainly happy to see Little Egg and Little Golden Dragon, but she was very confused about the appearance of Little Dumb Cow and Xiao Qi. "Little Egg, are they the new spiritual pets?" Little Egg jumped up in front of Xiao Li excitedly, showing an arrogant and pretentious expression. It seemed to be telling that, "I know everything but you don't, let me introduce them to you. This is Little Cow. Mom also calls him Little Dumb Cow. It's stupid, and it can't even speak until now. It can only say one word at a time. It won't learn no matter how I teach it." When Little Dumb Cow heard Little Egg talking about itself, it immediately showed a silly smile. However, it still looked ugly when matching its smile to its face. Little Egg pointed to Xiao Qi again. "This is Mom's younger brother. He is a blood-related brother. His name is Xiao Qi. We all call him Brother Qi. His head was injured, so he can't speak yet. But Brother Qi is smart. When Mom taught him how to dress and eat by himself, he can learn them well." She was amused for a while. Little Egg called her Mom, but he called Xiao Qi as brother. What kind of seniority was this? But she didn't correct him as long as they were happy. When Xiao Qi heard his name, he immediately tilted his head to look over. He smiled while looking at the little girl's confused eyes. Xiao Qi's appearance was clear and handsome. The most important thing was that he looked similar to Heshi. His face that was previously thin and haggard was now recovered. He immediately showed an extraordinary temperament. Xiao Li didn't know why. Seeing the young boy who resembled her Miss, she felt warm in her heart. The young boy in front also became kind as he couldn't help smiling at her. However, the little girl immediately remembered that after she had been away from Miss for so long, she didn't even know that she had gotten a new pet and found her younger brother. She immediately felt down. She grabbed Heshi's hand and said with a flattened mouth, "Miss, can I go out with you now? Xiao Li also wants to help Miss beat the bad guys, And Shaoli also wants to stay by your side. He listened to her soft voice that was full of pleading, and she felt pity for her. She couldn't help saying softly, "You still can't stabilize your 3 tails yet. You train 1 more month in this desert domain first. When you can stabilize your realm, you can return to me." "Really, miss?" Shaoli was overjoyed. Seeing He nodding, the little girl cried and laughed suddenly. Her tails were wagging non-stop. Xiao Qi seemed very interested in her tails. He kept jumping around behind her tails with a happy smile on his face. The 4 little ones heard that Shaoli would leave the secret territory in the future and go out to play with them, and they felt extremely happy. Little Egg even took out all the treasures that Nangong Yu had given him and let Shaoli pick one of them. He looked at the cheerful and playful appearance of several little ones from a distance while holding Nangong Yu's wide palm her hand. Her heart was full of warmth and happiness. It would be great if such days could last forever. Shangguan Wenji witnessed the death of Ouyang Haoshuan and his wife at the foot of Breaking Spirit Mountain. They seemed to have aged for about 10 years. They had been depressed after returning to the palace. The Jinling Kingdom had a short history in Miluo continent. He was also the first emperor of the Jinling Kingdom. In this world where only the power mattered, martial artists who cultivated the immortal way controlled most of the strength and resources. The so-called emperor had no real power at all. Especially when comparing the Jinling Kingdom to the Tiangang, Songming and other countries, they had fewer lands and citizens, so he, the emperor, had always been very useless. This situation continued until Nangong Yu, a peerless genius, appeared out. The Iron Kirin led by him repelled the magical beast army and stained the borders of the Jinling Kingdom with the enemy's blood. The 20-year-old nascent soul stage martial artist made everyone feel terrified. No one dared to offend him for being young. It was the appearance of Nangong Yu that made this country have a firm foothold in the Miluo continent. No one dared to covet it. However, when the Jinling Kingdom was first established, it was the Ouyang family and Ouyang Zhixiong that firmly supported him. He used his Zhenwei army to open up this road to the imperial power for the emperor. Shangguan Wenji still remembered that Ouyang Zhixiong used to have a Zhenwei army of more than 200,000, but in order to clean up the civil strife for himself and fight against foreign enemies, in just a few years, the number of his army was reduced to less than 100,000. The 100,000 even included recruitment of new soldiers later. However, such a subordinate who was loyal to him, the founding hero of the Jinling Kingdom, ended up in such a tragic death. His wife, Madame Ouyang, was even more defiled. Now the only son, Ouyang Haoshuan, was still missing and under pursuit. He knew that Ouyang Zhixiong and the Ouyang family would not rebel, so he had to acquiesce to the charge of Ouyang Zhixiong's rebellion due to the threat of the Feng family. He even let the Feng family search for the only son of General Ouyang in his own land. I'm really a useless emperor. Just as the young man named Shiyu said, I can't even protect my loyal ministers. I can't make decision in my own country. I'm only a puppet. I simply doesn't deserve to be an emperor. Such guilt had been torturing him, making him sleepless. When the crown prince proposed to include the 100,000 Zhenwei army, Shangguan Wenji's depression in his heart for a long time finally broke out. He coldly looked at the talking son under the throne and said coldly, "What did you say? Say it again." Crown Prince Shangguan Qi didn't seem to feel his father's anger and aggrievedness at all. Instead, there was an excited smile on his face. Father, General Ouyang and his wife are now dead, and their only son Ouyang Haoshuan is currently missing. Even if he appears with his identity as the traitor, he can no longer come to the palace. Now that General Ouyang's 100,000 Zhenwei army has no leader, so it is the best time to include them. I have thought about it. These 100,000 Zhenwei army are too loyal to the Ouyang family. They will only obey General Ouyang's command instead of the emperor. This is very detrimental to the concentration of our imperial power. So I plan to divide the 100,000 Zhenwei army and assign them into the Imperial Guard and Qingyang army so that they cannot connect with each other. In this way, they will naturally forget General Ouyang and be loyal to us. What does father think about that? Before Shangguan Wenji hadn't spoken yet, and the sixth prince Shangguan Heng on the side had already taken a step forward and strongly opposed. Father, this must not happen. Everyone in the Jinling Kingdom knows that General Ouyang has done his duty to serve the Jinling Kingdom, and he is even more loyal to Father. Now General Ouyang and his wife had just died tragically, and Ouyang Haoshuan's life and death is unknown. If we dismiss the Zhenwei army and assign them to different armies, what will the people think of our Shangguan family for such making immoral decision? This move will make others feel disappointed. Who else will be willing to serve the royal family in the future? Will there be martial artists with outstanding talents who are willing to swear allegiance to Father? Father must think twice. The sixth prince Shangguan Heng had a good relationship with Ouyang Haoshuan, even though their relationship had become quite distant when Ouyang Haoshuan's meridians were severed. However, now thinking that his childhood friend's family was killed and he was still being hunted down, he felt depressed. In addition, he and the crown prince didn't get along well initially. Now that the crown prince had said that he wanted to incorporate the Zhenwei army, or even make the Zhenwei army disappear from now on, he certainly couldn't allow it. The crown prince did not feel guilty when he heard the words, but he sneered, "Sixth brother, have you forgotten that the Ouyang family is a traitor who was convicted by Father? Condemning the traitor is what it should be. How can the people feel disappointed?" As for the Zhenwei army, it was originally the royal army. Could it be that after Ouyang Zhixiong led the army for a dozen years, the army should belong to the Ouyang family? What a joke! Now that the Ouyang family is confiscated due to the rebel, isn't it right for me, as the crown prince, to incorporate the Zhenwei army for Father? Traitor! Traitor! Shangguan Qi even keeps saying that Ouyang family is a traitor. Does he feel shame at all? The sixth prince's expression became extremely gloomy. Brother, speak frankly, don't you know the best whether the Ouyang family is a traitor? Moreover, everyone knew what happened at the mountain foot of the Breaking Spirit Mountain. Do you really think no one knows the real cause of death of General Ouyang and his wife? The crown prince flicked his sleeves, stared at the sixth prince, and sneered, "Sixth brother, what do you mean by this? Back then, it was Father who announced the imperial decree that the Ouyang family is a traitor. Is sixth brother saying that Father is incompetent?" The sixth prince's face became stiff, and he looked at Shangguan Wenji on the emperor's throne a little nervously. Shangguan Wenji's face was extremely gloomy. His both hands were clutching the armrest of the emperor's throne. The gold carving on the armrest was deeply embedded in his flesh, but he was unaware of it. After a long time, he let out a sigh of frustration and slowly said, "Okay, stop arguing. Keep the Zhenwei army for now. Don't touch it for now. Don't assign the new general for the Zhenwei army yet. Just let Chen Guangxian, General Ouyang's confidant, lead it." The sixth prince was overjoyed and quickly bowed down. Father is wise. The crown prince's face distorted when he heard the words. Even if it was his father sitting on it, he couldn't help saying loudly, "Father, what do you mean? Zhenwei army is the army of the Ouyang family. Everyone knows about this. Now that Father does not allow me to incorporate the Zhenwei army, and you even let Ouyang Zhixiong's confidant to lead the army, is Father telling the Feng family that you're dissatisfied of their decision? You want to seek justice for General Ouyang?" At that time, if Feng family thinks that we have resentment and invades our Jinling kingdom, does Father think we can defend ourselves? If you lose the throne and let the Jinling kingdom be plagued by war, how are you going to save the kingdom? What bullshit are you talking about? Ahem. Shangguan Wenji was furious. Seeing his own son actually pointed at him and scolded him, he was so infuriated that he almost lost his breath. Sixth prince also had an ugly face, and his gaze looking at the sixth prince was full of contempt. "Elder brother, no matter how strong the Feng family is, we are also the royal family. We should lead our people by example. If we submit to a strong enemy and reserve right and wrong to protect ourselves, how will the people think of us?" But the crown prince couldn't help laughing. He looked at the sixth prince as if he was looking at an idiot. "Sixth brother, you sound so high-sounding. Is it that you dare to fight with the Feng family? Father attaches importance to General Ouyang. Is it that he dares to fight against the Feng family?" Seeing that both Shangguan Wenji and Shangguan Heng looked ugly, the crown prince couldn't help being even more proud. Since I don't dare, it's better to listen to the Feng family's order. The Feng family is so powerful, there are countless masters of the gold core stage and industries in their hands. They also have a connection with the Doctors Association. As long as we satisfy the Feng family, there will be many benefits in the future. You, the sixth prince's eyes widened. Elder brother, how can you be so shameless? Shameless? Hee, I'm smart man who knows good bird who chooses wood to live. The crown prince sneered. He didn't look embarrassed at all, but he was full of pride. You want to keep the Jinwei army, for what? Are you waiting for the loser, Ouyang Haoshuan, to come back and lead the Jinwei army? Ha, stop dreaming. As soon as Ouyang Haoshuan appears, he will fall into the hands of the Feng family. Seeing Sixth Prince's expression full of anxiety and depression, the Crown Prince was even more proud. Do you know how many masters Feng family sent to this Yanjing city after the incident in the Breaking Spirit Mountain? They all came to find Ouyang Haoshuan, not to mention whether Ouyang Haoshuan is alive or not. Even if he is alive, do you he can escape from the pursuit of the Feng family? By the time Ouyang Haoshuan will die, won't the Jinwei army not be able to find a leader? Now I include them to serve for the Jinling Kingdom's royal family with my crown prince identity. What's wrong with that? Sixth Prince gritted his teeth and said viciously, Shangguan Qi, you know that the Ouyang family was wronged, and Ouyang Haoshuan's life is now at stake. Never mind you don't protect the Ouyang family, you even take advantage of their crisis? Do you still have a little bit of integrity of being a royal family? Look at how respectful you are to the Feng family. Wouldn't you sell the entire Jinling Kingdom to them when you become the emperor? Willingly become their dog. Presumptuous! Shangguan Qi roared. A spiritual power surged from his body as he stared at Sixth Prince fiercely. I'm the crown prince, and even your eldest brother, you dare to talk to me like this? Hee, you have so much moral integrity, then go and question the Feng family if you dare? Go condemn them for killing General Ouyang and his wife. If you are so good, go and arrest Feng Yunjing to seek justice for the Ouyang family? It's just that if you do this, I would like to know if you can live to see the dawn of tomorrow. The sixth prince's cultivation was low. As soon as Shangguan Qi released his aura, he backed away with an embarrassed look. Shangguan Wenji on the emperor throne finally couldn't bear it. He slapped the armrest fiercely and said in anger, Enough, stop it now. Jinwei army stays as it is, and Qin Guang is in command for the time being. If any of you dare to touch the Jinwei army, don't blame me for being impolite. Father! Shangguan Qi let out an unwilling exclamation. Shangguan Wenji stared at him fiercely like a sharp blade. The pressure of gold core stage cultivator suddenly broke out. Cheer! I warn you, Jinwei army belongs to our Jinling Kingdom's royal family, but it also belongs to the Ouyang family. It was established with Ouyang Jixiong's effort. So, at least as long as General Ouyang's blood is still in the world, the army belongs to the Ouyang family, no one is allowed to move it. If you speak more, I will abolish your crown prince title and chase you out of the palace to be a lord. Shangguan Qi's eyes widened suddenly. His face was full of disbelief. Father! But what was left to him was the determined back of Shangguan Wenji, as well as the relieved but mocking smile on Shangguan Heng's face. Shangguan Qi was left alone in the hall, only to feel that the anger in his heart surged upward. His eyes gradually became fierce. However, even though Shangguan Wenji scolded Shangguan Qi ferociously, he fell on the bed dejectedly after returning to his room. His face was full of sadness and resentment. The eunuch on the side hurriedly stepped forward and said, Emperor, are you okay? Do you need me to get you medicinal pills? Shangguan Wenji shook his head and sighed softly. Feng family, Feng family. Feng family is really too much. They obviously killed General Ouyang and his wife, but they still refused to let go of their only child, Ouyang Haoshuan. How did the Ouyang family offend Feng Yunjing, so that they are so ruthless? Although my heart is full of guilt, and I even keep the Jinwei army, hoping that Ouyang Haoshuan can stay alive, but Even if Ouyang Haoxuan is alive, how can he compete with the Feng family? In the end, wouldn't I end up just like Ouyang Haoxuan's parents? Sheng Guanqi, that kid? I have high hopes for him, but now it seems that this person is too eager for quick success. For the sake of power, he is even willing to be a dog of the Feng family. He even loses the most basic conscience of being a man. The eunuch who had just questioned saw Shangguan Wenji sighed, and he immediately stepped forward to comfort him. The emperor, the Feng family's power is big, and our Jinling kingdom is just a small country. We only have a few martial artists in the gold core stage, so we can't go against them. There is no other way. No one in the Jinling kingdom can go against the Feng family? There is still one person. There is at least one person, let alone the Feng family. No one in the entire Miluo continent dare not underestimate him. Even as long as he is still alive, if he is willing to call himself a subject of the Jinling kingdom, then Jinling kingdom will not fall. Thinking of this, Shangguan Wenji looked up abruptly and said loudly, "Quickly, you ask someone to check if the King of Hell is back? If he is back, report it to me immediately." King of Hell? The eunuch was stunned, and then immediately bowed and said, "As you wish." Shangguan Wenji clenched his fists with both hands and murmured, "If there is anyone in the Jinling kingdom who can go against the Feng family, it is only him. If he is willing to keep Ouyang Haoxuan, then the Ouyang family can still be saved." Listening to Shangguan Wenji's talk, the eunuch lowered his eyes slightly, revealing a sinister smile in a corner that Shangguan Wenji could not see. At this time, King of Hell Nangong Yu, whom Shangguan Wenji was looking for, had been staying in the sealed dragon domain with Heshi for several days. Of course, the two people were still training most of the time. After all, in this world where the strong preyed on the weak, strength was the greatest guarantee. In addition to training, Heshi also had to refine pills and configure new poisons and detoxify medicinal pills. She was very busy. However, during this period she still remembered to cook the dapeng bird that she had hunted in the sealed dragon domain. When the fragrant barbecue was served on the table, all those who stared at the table couldn't help drooling. Fortunately, this dapeng bird was really huge and had a lot of meat, so it was enough to serve everyone in the sealed dragon domain. Especially Little Egg and Xiao Qi, they were chewing a slice of big meat until their faces were full of grease. They showed silly smiles from time to time. Little Egg also complained to Xiao Qi, "Brother Xiao Qi, you don't know Mom has a master, but he is very bad. He always snatches Mom's food, and his belly is very big. I always can be full when I'm eating with him. Brother Xiao Qi, next time you see him help me beat him up, okay?" Xiao Qi bit off a piece of meat and watched Little Egg shook his fist at him. Little Egg thought he promised to beat up the old man next time, so he was overjoyed. He gave half of the barbecue he secretly hid to Xiao Qi. Heshi saw that Xiao Qi's mouth was full of grease, and his clothes were messy, so she asked him to come over. The warm water spiritual power combined with the wind spiritual power quickly cleaned the stains on Xiao Qi's body and even dried the wet clothes. Xiao Qi looked up and smiled sillily at her, and he quickly and diligently handed out the meat in his hand to let Heshi bite. He muttered, "Sister, sister?" Xiao Qi had lost one soul, which was different from the little dumb cow who was late in developing intelligent. Although little dumb cow was very slow in learning to speak, now he could speak many words slowly. But as long as Xiao Qi didn't find his soul, he could have the same wisdom as a human being. Therefore, so far, the only words he could say were, "Sister." Heshi's eyes looked tender. She grabbed his wrist, lowered her head and took a bite on the meat. Xiao Qi was delighted immediately. He made a pleasant grunt in his throat. Heshi taught him how to bite into the meat without getting his clothes dirty. It was just that Xiao Qi had intelligence. Heshi taught him several times, but he still made his clothes dirty when he got back to eat. Half of his face was dark, but he smiled at Heshi happily. His eyes were brighter than the spring sun, making Heshi laugh too. Heshi was about to reach out to wipe the sauce on Xiao Qi's face, but she was suddenly embraced in a warm embrace. The man's low voice sounded in her ears with a slight grievance. "Sheer, didn't you say that you specially cooked this dapeng bird for? Why are you only paying attention to other people from the beginning until now?" He laughed. She turned her head and looked up at Nangongyu. He was still gnawing the meat like the others. All of their mouths were full of grease. But this guy was the only one who still looked noble and spotlessly clean when eating barbecue. Is he good at pretending, or is he really has a good education that is in his bone? He couldn't help but chuckle. She dipped her finger with some barbecue sauce secretly, and she wiped it on Nangongyu's mouth when he was not paying attention. For a while, it seemed that Nangongyu had half a beard, but Nangongyu's face was still young, so it was weird to have half a beard. He laughed so hard at that. Nangongyu was teased by his beloved girl, and he was stunned first. At this time, everyone's eyes were all looking on them, especially his own confidants, Qing Long, Bai Hu, Wu Yu, Wu Xing, and so on. They were staring with their eyes wide open. Even Nangongyu was calm, his face was still slightly hot. When he looked at the girl, with blushing cheeks, smiling like a flower in his arms, he couldn't help being moved. When He regained consciousness, the two of them had disappeared in the Greenwood domain where they were barbecuing. They appeared in the beautiful Water Moon domain. He was startled, and she looked aside. Why are you, however, before the words were finished, her voice was completely covered up by Nangongyu. Just now when the girl leaned in his arms and smiled happily, the white jade-like skin turned slightly silvery red as if it could be melted with a slight touch. The slightly opened lips were pink and tender like a newly bloomed flower, revealing the white teeth and tender red tongue. Nangongyu suddenly felt that the delicious dapeng bird had lost its taste. Only the girl in his arms was his gluttonous feast. He couldn't wait any longer. As soon as the kiss ended, He's body had become soft. She could only gasp for breath. This guy, Nangongyu, is so, why are his kissing skills getting better and better? He had broken through the soul-splitting stage when he was only 20 years old. He is even a physique cultivator. He also knows about array. Can this guy be more overpowered? He reached out her hand and wiped her lips, feeling even more sad and angry in her heart. The smell of barbecue. As a result, the seasoning she just used to tease Nangongyu had now been used on herself. He actually teleported our positions directly and disappeared just like that. Who doesn't know what he wants to do? If I knew it, I wouldn't tell him how to control some of the enchantments of the sealed dragon domain's secret territory. Nangongyu and He were having an intimate moment in the Greenwood domain. The people who were still eating barbecue looked at each other for a while, then they all blushed and lowered their heads and continued to eat their own meat. Bai Hu bit the delicious dapeng bird meat and shook his head. Our princess is really amazing. This dapeng bird meat is notoriously old and smelly. I didn't expect it to be so delicious after being cooked by Princess. Aya, our master is so lucky to be able to marry Princess. Wouldn't he be able to eat different kinds of delicacies every day? Wu Yu couldn't help but nodded and agreed with Bai Hu's words. Yes. It really is different kinds of food every day. You have never seen the food box Princess gave to Master. I have never seen those dishes before, let alone tasting them. That fragrant, now I think back. No way, I must find a wife who is particularly good at cooking in the future. Me too. Qing Wan, who was slowly eating dapeng bird meat, paused inexplicably when she heard the words, and her cheeks were slightly hot. Princess said that she would teach me and my Xiang to cook. In the future, will I be able to cook such delicious food like Princess? Bai Hu finished eating one piece in his hand and took a look at the table. Seeing that there was not much, he quickly rushed over. It was just that he was in a hurry, so he bumped into the person next to him and staggered. Inexplicably, Bai Hu felt a hot breath sweeping his body with a deep chill. This description was actually very contradictory. Since it is a hot breath, how can it be chill? However, Bai Hu just felt a chill in his spine as if he had encountered something terrifying. He shook his hand, looked to the side, met Ouyang Haoxuan's calm brows, and breathed a sigh of relief. Hey, brother Ouyang, are you here to get the barbecue too? Come, this piece is rich in seasonings, and the meat is tender. Take it. Ouyang Haoxuan did not get polite with him. He took the barbecue from him and ate slowly. Seeing his gestures, Bai Hu's heart trembled. Ouyang Haoshuan gave him an unfathomable feeling like his master, making him feel creepy. However, Bai Hu remembered the rumors of the Ouyang family in Yanjing City, and he looked at him with sympathy. Brother Ouyang, about the tragic of your family? I'm sorry. Ouyang Haoshuan nodded, and a faint, gentle smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Bai Hu felt that the smile was terrifying. He wanted to ask a few more questions, but he chose to run back with the barbecue. When he approached Gu Lufeng, he couldn't help muttering in a low voice, "Hey brother Gu, do you know why Ouyang Haoshuan is here?" While biting on the barbecue, Gu Lufeng said, his parents were killed by Feng Yunjing, and Feng Yunjing was pursuing him. At that time, Shiyu passed by and rescued him. She also helped him to keep the body of his parents' corpse, so he just stays with Shiyu. Bai Hu's voice was lowered. I always feel that the breath he exudes is so depressing that I dare not talk to him. Not only that, he obviously should be gold core stage, which is about the same level as me, but I can't see through him at all. Gu Lufeng sighed and said, a person who has experienced such drastic changes and tragedies, can he remain the same? Without Shiyu, their Ouyang family would have even become extinct. Now he can survive without revenging impulsively. I think it's already very good. What's more, he has signed a master-servant contract with Shiyu. He will never betray Shiyu. Speaking of this, Gu Lufeng put down the barbecue in his hand and looked at Bai Hu with a solemn expression. As long as he is not unfavorable to Shiyu and is willing to help Shiyu, no matter what kind of person he is our partner. Brother Bai, please don't talk behind Ouyang Haoshuan back in the future. Bai Hu was a little bit embarrassed and he quickly said, Okay, I was wrong. When Bai Hu ran away dejectedly, Gu Lufeng raised his head, met Ouyang Haoshuan's silent dad eyes, and couldn't help but smile at him. Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes moved, and he returned a smile to him slowly. Partner? Several people were eating lively, and suddenly saw a figure appeared near the teleportation array. Gu Lufeng smiled and said, Shi-san, you just came at the right time. Shiyu made barbecue. Would you like to have some together? No thanks. Shi-san hurriedly ran out of the teleportation formation, looking around. Where's Miss? Where's King of Hell? I have something to tell them? Miss just had something, ahem, she left. Qing Wan stood up and said, but Miss can know everything that happens in the sealed dragon domain. She should be able to sense you coming. I believe she will be back soon. Shi-san said, oh, but he still did not hide his anxiety. When he turned his head and saw Ouyang Haoshuan, he immediately shouted, by the way, this matter is related to Mr. Ouyang, so it is the same telling you. Huh? Ouyang Haoshuan raised his eyebrows slightly. It is related to me? Shi-san hurried over and said with a solemn expression, just now there was news from the imperial city that Prince Shangguanqi wants to incorporate the Jinwei army under General Ouyang, and he also wants to disband the Jinwei army completely. He wants to erase all traces of the Ouyang family in the world. What did you say? Gu Lufeng, Bai Hu and others exclaimed first, are the Shangguan family people crazy? On the contrary, it was Ouyang Haoshuan who looked very calm from beginning to end. It was the calm that made people terrify. His eyes were gloomy like stagnant water, and he slowly sneered and said, erase all traces of Ouyang family on it? Shi-san nodded and said, the news is like this, but I always find it strange. The 6th Prince Shangguan Heng came to our Shengda Hall some time ago. He told me that he and the Prince Shangguanqi were fighting for reasons in the hall. He is unwilling to disband the Jinwei army, and the emperor is full of guilt for the Ouyang family, so the emperor is also on his side. But now, in just a few days, how did it change? Gu Lufeng frowned and said, I'm afraid this is a conspiracy. Conspiracy? Gu Lufeng glanced at Ouyang Haoshuan, and he said solemnly, I don't know why Feng family is obsessed with finding Haoshuan, but it is clear that Feng Yunjing and Feng family want something from Haoshuan. But Haoshuan has been showing himself after being saved by Shiyu. Feng family was anxious, so they want to force Haoshuan out. Shi-san said anxiously, then what should we do now? Are we going to just watch Shangguanqi disband Jinwei army? Disband Jinwei army? Don't even think about it. A clear and beautiful female voice came from behind the crowd. Heshi, dressed in a blue brocade and a men's bun, walked out slowly. The light from the sealed dragon domain fell on her white and flawless face, illuminating the delicate features like works of art. It could shake the mind of people and attract them by charm. Heshi walked in front of Ouyang Haoshuan, curled her lips and smiled. She said with a lofty spirit, "Let's go, that 100,000 Jinwei army, it is destined to belong to your Ouyang family. No one is qualified to take it away. I initially thought about letting you out to retaliate against the Feng family for a while, but now that they are asking for troubles, then you go out and let them have the taste of karma and blood debts. After that, all those that should belong to you, take it back gorgeously." Ouyang Haoshuan was slightly shocked, and the calm expression on his face solidified. Heshi spread out her hands, revealing the commander's seal in his palm, then she said with a raise of her eyebrow, "Ouyang Haoshuan, can you do it?" Ouyang Haoshuan finally revealed a slight smile, and he reached out to take the commander's seal. He didn't speak, but the strong confidence and calmness implicit in his smile convinced people to believe him unconditionally. At this moment, the suffocating darkness and gloominess on his body had disappeared without a trace. Nangong Yu, who watched this scene behind him, was inexplicably displeased. He stretched out his hand to hold Heshi's soft little hand, and he smiled casually. "Sheer, let Ouyang Haoshuan and Baihu take care of the Jinwei army. You come back to King of Hell Mansion with me. Maybe we can watch a good show together." Heshi was taken aback, then she suddenly realized it. She showed a playful smile. "Okay, let's go to King of Hell Mansion." "Wait, Shiyu," Ouyang Haoshuan said suddenly. Heshi turned around and looked at him in surprise. Ouyang Haoshuan raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and he said slowly, "Shiyu, why not, you and me, go and take the Jinwei army together?" "What?" Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes gleamed with deep and bright light. His was extremely calm. "Jinwei army used to belong to the Ouyang family, but my father has entrusted the Jinwei army to you. You're the Jinwei army's master. Therefore, to control Jinwei army, you must be present and let everyone know that you are the master of Jinwei army." Heshi was stunned for a while before shook his head and said, "General Ouyang gave me the Jinwei army, just for fear that you have nowhere to go and I won't save you. Jinwei army belongs to your Ouyang family, you are now the only bloodline of General Ouyang, but I'm yours, am I not?" Ouyang Haoshuan suddenly said slowly, "I signed a master-servant blood pact with you. You're my master, so what I own naturally belongs to you too, master." Heshi opened his mouth slightly. She didn't know what to say for a while. Only when she met Ouyang Haoshuan's quiet and indifferent eyes, she understood the decisiveness in his words. She just smiled lightly. "Okay, I will go with you to take back the Jinwei army." Nangong Yu on the side gritted his teeth. "This Ouyang Haoshuan is getting more and more unpleasant to my eyes." Jin Ling Kingdom's palace in Yanjing City. It was already dusk now. Sitting in the study room, Shangguan Wenji heard the report from his dark guard, and he said with excitement, "Is what you said true? King of Hell has really returned his mansion? Father, His Royal Highness King of Hell is back?" As soon as Shangguan Wenji's voice sounded, he heard the voice of 6th Prince Shangguan Heng from outside the door. Seeing Shangguan Wenji nodding, Shangguan Heng hurriedly said, "Father, I will go to King of Hell Mansion personally. I will ask His Royal Highness King of Hell to protect the only bloodline of the Ouyang family and Jinwei army. His Highness King of Hell has always had a good relationship with General Ouyang. He will definitely help." Shangguan Wenji nodded again and again. "Go fast, I'm afraid Ouyang Haoshuan will be in danger if it gets late." The news that came out of Yanjing City in the past few days was known to both Shangguan and his sons. They also knew that Prince Shangguan Qi was involved in the spread of the news. But due to the strength and dominance of the Feng family, they couldn't do anything. Now that the Feng family had deployed a tight encirclement to wait for Ouyang Haoshuan to appear, if he was really worried about the Jinwei army and came out, he would definitely fall into the hands of the Feng family. At that time, Ouyang Haoshuan would definitely die, and the 100,000 Jinwei army would also fall into the hands of the Feng family and Shangguanqi and fell apart. Shangguanhing got his father's approval and immediately turned and walked outside the palace. At this time, the excited Shangguan Wenji and Shangguanhing did not know that a bloody battle had already happened outside the palace gate. Presumptuous, do you know who I'm? A small guard soldier dared to stop me. The guard stopped the Prince Shangguanqi outside the palace gate and bowed, "Please forgive me, my prince. The emperor doesn't want to see you now, and he prohibits you to step into the palace." You! The crown prince trembled all over, and he was about to slap the guard. However, before he slapped, a plume of black smoke suddenly appeared behind the crown prince. The black smoke entered the guard's mouth and nose silently, and the guard immediately released the weapon in his hand, revealing an expression of pain. The crown prince was taken aback. Then he saw a man in a black cloak walking out behind him. The cloaked man looked at the guard's painful expression and smiled with satisfaction, then stretched out his hand to clasp the guard's head. There was the sound of bursting. The fingers of the cloaked man penetrated deep into the guard's skull, making 5 holes in his head. The guard's body twitched violently, then he rolled his eyes and lost his vitality. The black mist that entered the guard's body curled out and flew back into the cloaked man's body. The guard on the other side of the palace gate saw this scene, and his face was full of shock. He wanted to scream. But the man in black who was following the cloaked man immediately came out silently and snapped his neck. The same black mist emerged from the cloaked man, got into the guard's body, circled around and flew back. Shangguanqi looked at the guard who was dead on the ground with horror. The guard's eyes turned white, and his face was distorted. His brain juice was even gurgling out. That was too horrifying. Shangguanqi's complexion turned pale. He looked at the cloaked man tremblingly and he said, "Black Law Protector, now, we are still at the gate of the palace. It's not good to just kill people and cause any sensations, right? What if my father, who cares about Shangguan Wenji? How is he worthy of letting me sneak in? Isn't just killing a few guards? What is there to be dissatisfied? No, not at all." Shangguanqi waved his hand in fright. Even his feet were trembling. This man in gray with a cloak was a martial artist of the nascent soul stage, and his position in the Feng family was high. Moreover, he had always acted ruthlessly and liked to extract the soul of people. How dare he offend this person? That was right, the man in the cloak was the Black Law Protector, He Sha that He ran into at the Murong mansion that day. The men in black who followed He Sha were at least of the Gold Core stage or the Peak of Meridian stage. They were all elites of the Feng family, and they were all loyal to the Feng family. He Sha was badly injured by a crazy old man who ran out inexplicably when he was at the Murong mansion. Although it seemed that he was simply knocked into the air, his vitality was severely injured. After several months of cultivating, his strength still couldn't recover to the peak. He Sha's cultivation was based on martial artists' souls, so during this period of time, he was looking for soul everywhere. It was just that draining the soul of martial artists was too ostentatious and easy to be discovered, so his recovery had always been slow. However, his visit to Jinling Kingdom Palace today had some good results. Although the guards of Jinling Kingdom Palace were mostly low in cultivation and had impure souls, they were still martial artists after all. If I can absorb all the souls of the people in this palace, I don't have to worry about not able to recover. When He Sha turned his head, seeing Shangguanqi's terrified look, his heart was full of contempt. But he said, "Don't worry, as long as you are obedient, our Feng family will not treat you badly. When Shangguan Wenji abdicates, this Jinling kingdom is naturally yours." Shangguanqi was overjoyed when he heard that. He even forgot most of his fear. At this time, he was really fortunate that after being rejected by Shangguan Wenji, he was connected to the Feng family. Only with such a strong backer like the Feng family, he could sit on the throne without worry. The father is really an old fool. He actually goes against the Feng family for the Ouyang family? Now that he has to surrender the throne, it is his own responsibility. Thinking of this, Shangguan Qi suddenly felt confident in his heart. He was no longer afraid. With He Sha following him, he walked straight into the palace. Along the way, there were some guards stopping them under the orders of Shangguan Wenji. However, as soon as they appeared, they were tragically killed by Black Law Protector and his men on the spot. Their souls were being sucked away to recover He Sha's strength. Even later, He Sha had tasted the benefits. Even if these guards didn't stop him, he happily killed them one by one, then he drained their souls. For a time, there was a bloody storm in the palace gate that was originally magnificent, and there were the corpses of victims everywhere. But when they entered the palace where Shangguan Wenji was located, these people still restrained their actions. After all, Shangguan Wenji was also a martial artist of the gold core stage. If he was forced too much, it would take a lot of trouble. As soon as 6th Prince Shangguan Hing came out of the royal study room, he saw Shangguan Qi and the men in black behind him. He was shocked. He had a very bad feeling in his heart. Shangguan Qi was very excited when he saw 6th Prince. There was a vicious look in his eyes. He laughed and said, "6th brother just appears at the right time. I'm going to discuss with father about the Jinwei army. 6th brother and I had different opinions last time. Why not we go and discuss with father again?" 6th Prince lowered his head and quickly said respectfully, "I was reckless last time. You're the crown prince, so you should have the say in the affairs of the kingdom. Since elder brother has something to speak to father, I will not join. I still have something to do, so I'll leave now." After finishing speaking, he hurried out without waiting for Shangguan Qi to reply. His steps seemed a little flustered. Shangguan Qi turned around and looked at his back coldly. The expression on his face was full of contempt and disdain. This 6th brother is a little clever, knowing that the people stand next to me are powerful, so he chose to run quickly. Unfortunately, he realized it too late. Shangguan Qi glanced at the Black Law Protector without having to say anything. A gold core stage and 2 meridian stage martial artists behind him walked out and chased Shangguan Qi. Shangguan Wenji in the Imperial Study Room was happy that Nangong Yu had finally returned. I can finally ask for help. However, before he waited for his younger son to invite King of Hell over, Shangguan Qi brought a group of people in black into his palace. As soon as Shangguan Qi saw Shangguan Wenji, he bowed casually and smiled. "Father, this is the Black Law Protector of Feng family. He is here to help us catch the traitor Ouyang Haoshuan." When Shangguan Wenji heard the words, the green veins on his forehead burst out. He glared at Shangguan Qi furiously. "Shangguan Qi, what do you mean? You said he came to help us, by what mean?" Shangguan Qi smiled and said, "Father, Ouyang Haoshuan's parents had been executed. Now the only thing this traitor cares about is their Ouyang family's Jinwei army. If we take down the Jinwei army, I don't believe Ouyang Haoshuan will not come out." Shangguan Wenji was so angry that he couldn't speak. He always knew that this elder son was interested in benefits, but he did not expect that he would be so outrageous. What do you mean by bringing people in now? Are you trying to force me to abdicate the throne?" Shangguan Qi shook his head and said helplessly, "How can father say that I'm forcing you to abdicate the throne? I just want to help father make the right decision. I know father is worried that the Jinwei army won't listen to you without the commander's seal. But now with the help of the Black Law Protector, if anyone were disobedient, we can punish them until they listen. After all, Black Law Protector is a master of the nascent soul stage. Father, don't you think so?" Shangguan Wenji was gasped, and his face looked very pale. "You bastard. Now that you are planning everything, why do you still come to me?" Shangguan Qi spread his hand and said, "I want to take in the Jinwei army, so I of course need the imperial decree from father to order me to take full responsibility for the redeployment of the Jinwei army." Shangguan Wenji gritted his teeth and said, "What if I don't write? Father, why are you making it hard for yourself?" Shangguan Qi shook his head. "Ouyang family is too late to be saved. The Jinwei army is one of our Jinling kingdom's most powerful army. We can't always let it have no leader, right?" Shangguan Wenji's eyes were red, staring fiercely at this arrogant son in front of him, and he suddenly burst into laughter. Okay, really my good son. I, Shangguan Wenji, am really blind. I actually give birth to such an animal like you to be the crown prince. Today, I will kill you, lest you, the animal, bring disaster to my Jinling kingdom. As soon as Shangguan Wenji spoke, he stood up and rushed toward Shangguan Qi. The pressure of Gold Core stage suddenly burst out, overwhelming Shangguan Qi. Shangguan Qi was so frightened that he fell to the ground, and he shouted in panic, "Black Law Protector, help." Seeing that Shangguan Wenji was about to smash the head of Shangguan Qi with a palm, He Sha on the side suddenly made a move. He didn't see how he moved, but his figure shook. A fist had attacked on Shangguan Wenji's chest, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. The spiritual power of his body was also shaken away. He Sha took a step forward, kicked Shangguan Wenji, and sneered, "Are you writing or not writing? Kill me if you dare." Shangguan Wenji's mouth kept spilling blood, but his eyes were full of resentment. He didn't intend to surrender at all. Your Feng family has done so many unrighteous acts, you will get your retribution one day. Retribution? Ha, He Sha raised his head and laughed. You don't write? Okay, I will let you watch your favorite concubines and children die miserably in front of you. You can open your eyes to see if I will get retribution. After that, He Sha waved his hand to bring all the princes, princesses and concubines in the harem. Don't touch my children. Shangguan Wenji let out a stern cry and rushed towards He Sha, but he was not He Sha's opponent. He Sha caught one of his youngest sons who were only 5 or 6 years old in front of him, and he sneered, "Are you writing or not?" Shangguan Wenji yelled hysterically, "You Feng family will get retribution." As soon as he spoke, He Sha grasped the child's head and shoulders with both hands and tore them forcefully. Hearing a scream, the child's head was torn off abruptly. Blood splashed around. "Xianer! Animal, I fight to the death with you." A beautiful concubine rushed out and charged at He Sha frantically, but He Sha grabbed her neck and crushed her spine. He Sha and the group of Feng family children behind him laughed loudly. "Shangguan Wenji, are you still waiting for your son to inform Nangongyu? Haha, I advise you not to dream. With the relationship between the King of Hell Mansion and our Feng family, do you think they would be willing to offend our Feng family by helping you? What's more, your precious son, he may not even be able to get out of the palace. He is most likely dead under the hands of my disciples. If you still don't write the imperial edict, then I will kill your children one by one in front of you. Let's see how long you can hold." After speaking, he waved his hand, and the men in black grabbed a young princess in his hand. "Father, help!" The little princess was crying in fright. The last hope in Shangguan Wenji's heart was broken, and he suddenly sat down on the ground dejectedly. He said tremblingly, "Okay, I write. His face was full of tears that were mixed with blood from the corners of his mouth, making him look extremely miserable. When he finished writing the imperial edict, half of his hair had turned gray as if his vitality was sucked away. Shangguan Qi took a step forward, seemingly concerned. "Father, are you okay? You beast, I don't have a son like you. You get out of here." Shangguan Qi smiled and said with a deep gaze, "Since father has already written the incorporation of the Jinwei army, why not you write the succession edict as well? If I become the emperor, I believe the incorporation of the Jinwei army will be smoother." The sky had gradually darkened. Sixth Prince Shangguan Heng was running madly at this moment on the quiet street of the Yanjing city. The guards who protected him were all dead. If it weren't for his alertness, he would have become a dead corpse. Even if he wasn't dead, his body was also covered in wounds. At this time, he finally took a breath and came to the street where King of Hell Mansion was. However, the pursuers behind him were getting closer. Even if they couldn't fly in Yanjing City, their pace was much faster than him. Moreover, they even had the leisure time to play cat and mouse with him. "Sixth Prince, after running all night, are you not tired? Do you think you can escape our palm by continuing to run?" Haha. As Shangguan Heng's vision became blurred, he saw 3 people blocking his way. There was despair in his heart. He was already close to the King of Hell Mansion, but he couldn't move any further. Seeing that the sword in the man in black stabbing at him, Shangguan Heng's mouth widened in horror. He wanted to call for help, but he couldn't even make a sound. But, suddenly, he felt his waist tighten as if he was pulled by something. He was forcefully dragged back for some distance. Shangguan Heng finally let out a short exclamation. His body seemed to hit a wall. The pain almost made all his bones and muscles collapse. He looked back and saw a man dressed in black with a cold look. The man's appearance was not outstanding, but his body exuded a chilling bloody aura as if the person had experienced a bloodbath. Shangguan Heng was in shock. After realizing that he had been rescued, the injuries that he suppressed previously acted up in an instant. He spouted a mouthful of blood. A clear man's voice suddenly sounded, "Wah, Xian Wu, aren't you being too rough? You see, the prince is even vomiting blood now." Xian Wu? Which Xian Wu? Is it the Xian Wu, one of the 4 confidants of His Royal Highness King of Hell? When Shangguan Heng heard this man's words, he suddenly woke up, resisting the pain in his body and looking back at the person behind him. He saw a handsome white man standing beside the man in black. Shangguan Heng knew this man, and he often saw him in the King of Hell mansion. This was Bai Hu, one of King of Hell's 4 confidants. Shangguan Heng was overjoyed. He coughed several times, ignoring the burning pain in his chest, and shouted at Bai Hu, "Senior Bai, help, help." The men in black clothes who were chasing Shangguan Heng saw that someone was helping him, and the person was extremely skilled. Their faces looked a bit unsightly. When they discovered that it was the man from King of Hell mansion who tried to help, they immediately felt relieved. King of Hell had always had a good relationship with the Feng family. What's more, their master even saved King of Hell before. It was impossible for the people of the King of Hell mansion to fight against the Feng family anyway. Therefore, the leader Black stepped forward and cupped his fist toward Bai Hu. "Protector Bai, I'm the disciple of the Feng family. We are acting in this Yanjing city by the order of young Master Yunjing. Next is the disciplines of the Feng family, acting in Yanjing city by the order of young Master Yunjing. This person in your hand is wanted by our young Master Yunjing. He is very important to us. Protector Bai, please make it convenient for us and hand him over." Bai Hu curled up his mouth and smiled, putting up a laser look. He is already in front of me, and you want me to hand him out? This does not fit my Bai Hu's character. At least you have to tell me, your Feng family don't stay in Songming Kingdom and come far away to our Jinling Kingdom to catch the 6th prince who is as cute as a white rabbit. What do you want to do? 6th Prince Shangguan Heng, who was as cute as a little white rabbit, spat out another mouthful of blood. Then he endured the severe pain and said tremblingly, "Senior Bai, please don't listen to their nonsense. Shangguan Qi wants to incorporate the Jinwei army, but Ouyang family did not rebel. My father feels ashamed for the tragic death of General Ouyang and his wife, so he isn't willing to change the ownership of the Jinwei army. Who knows that Shangguan Qi could not achieve his goal, and he actually colluded with the Feng family to bloodbath the palace. Now my father is in danger. Ouyang Haoshuan is also in danger. Ouyang Haoshuan? The Feng family agreed to form an alliance with Shangguan Qi because they want to set up a trap in the Jinwei army camp and wait for Ouyang Haoshuan to walk into the snare himself. I don't know why they are looking for Ouyang Haoshuan. They killed the General Ouyang and his wife and framed them as traitors in order to get something from Ouyang Haoshuan. Cough cough. Shangguan Heng was seriously injured, his vision became blurred, and his voice was getting weaker and weaker. Royal Highness King of Hell, for the sake of our fellow Jinling Kingdom citizens, save my father, save Shangguan family. Before Shangguan Heng finished speaking, he fainted to the ground. Bai Hu curled his lips and thought in his mind, Gu Lu Feng really guessed it right. This Feng family made such a huge fuss and stayed in Tianjing City for a few months and refused to leave. It turns out that they are really looking for Ouyang Haoshuan? But what do they want from Ouyang Haoshuan? Bai Hu was puzzled, so he couldn't help but smiled and asked, "Hey, you Feng family, otherwise you tell me why your young master is so anxious to find Ouyang Haoshuan?" Protector Bai, I advise you not to be nosy, this is not something you can know. The leader man in black had already turned his face at this time and said coldly, "You better figure it out. We are of the Feng family, Even if it is His Royal Highness King of Hell, he has to bow to our Feng family. You'd better not make your own claim, it will break the relationship between our Feng family and King of Hell Mansion. If King of Hell put the blame on you, I'm afraid you can't afford to bear it. Bai Hu was immediately upset. Why are these arrogant guys boosting their ass? They actually dare to say that my master has to bow to their Feng family? Bow your ass. Just a mere Feng family, you really think you are worthy of it? He brushed his shirt and said with a half-smile, since you said so, Lord Bai, is determined to be nosy here. The people of King of Hell Mansion had endured these cowards of the Feng family for a long time. Now that his master plan had been implemented, he finally didn't have to endure it. Since they deliver themselves to me, if I don't give them a lesson, wouldn't I suffer a loss? As Bai Hu said, he immediately took the unconscious Shangguan Heng and took a step back, and he shouted, "Ah Wu, let's go. I'll let you handle this group of trash." Xian Wu glanced at him coldly, then he waved his hand. The martial artists in dark steel armor rushed up behind him. The man in black did not expect that the people of King of Hell Mansion would actually fight just like that. They couldn't help but taking out their flying sword. However, these martial artists in black, who seemed to be wearing heavy armor, were faster and more powerful than they thought. Especially, they were a team of people who cooperated with each other and had a tacit understanding. Between their moves, there was even a profound formation. Among the disciplines of the Feng family, there was also a gold core stage martial artist and 2 peak of the meridian stage martial artists. Although the others were not as powerful as the 3 leaders, they also had the meridian stage cultivation. But at this time, when they met this group of martial artists who were also meridian stage, they actually couldn't fight back. In just a few moves, all of them were beheaded. All their actions were so clean and neat, they were never sloppy. Their only objective was to kill the enemy. This was the most elite army of King of Hell Mansion, Iron Kirin. Don't say that these were just a dozen meridian stage martial artists and an early stage of the gold core martial artists. Even if they were facing a few gold core stage experts, they could use formation and cooperation to slowly kill the gold core stage experts to death. Bai Hu patted Xian Wu on the shoulder and couldn't help but admire, "Ah Wu, Iron Kirin is getting better and better under your training. The Feng family must have never imagined that our master will have such an army." In their mind, they thought that our King of Hell Mansion's army is also consisted of ordinary soldiers like the Jinwei army. Xian Wu glanced at him coldly again, like he was looking at an idiot. After that, he turned and left. The group of Iron Kirin who had just finished killing people immediately followed Xian Wu back into the King of Hell Mansion, completely ignoring the existence of Bai Hu. Bai Hu looked at the backs of Xian Wu and the Iron Kirin team, and he couldn't help but curl his lips in boredom. Ah Wu is really getting boring. Afterward, he also picked up Shangguan Heng, who had fainted, and quickly followed up. TSKSK, the cat and mouse game with the Feng family has finally begun. I'm already feeling excited to think about it. When Bai Hu brought Shangguan Heng to the flower hall of the King of Hell Mansion, Xian Wu had already briefly reported what had just happened. When Bai Hu came in, both Nangong Yu and Hishi's eyes fell on Shangguan Heng. Bai Hu quickly said, "This is the 6th Prince Shangguan Heng." Hishi glanced at Shangguan Heng who had fainted, and he felt a bit familiar. When she searched her memory, she quickly remembered it. Oh, it turns out to be the prince who followed the Zhu family to propose marriage when I was recalled back to the Nalan mansion for the first time. From his appearance at the time, it seems that he has a good relationship with Ouyang Haoshuan. But now it seems that his vitality is losing quickly. I'm afraid he can't live for long. Hishi stepped forward, took out a silver needle and stuck him a few times, and gave him a medicinal pill. Shangguan Heng quickly woke up. Obviously, his aura now was much thicker than when he was just about to die. Bai Hu believed that he had long been used to seeing his princess' magical medical skills and methods. However, now that he saw it again, he still couldn't help being shocked. He carried Shangguan Heng in himself, so he was clear about the serious injuries on Shangguan Heng. He originally thought that his princess would at most wake the person up, ask him about the situation, and then let him die. Who knows, she just made a few simple treatments, and she had brought Shangguan from hell. This is too terrifying, right? Even Xian Wu, who had always been indifferent, couldn't help showing a look of shock. He couldn't help looking at Heshi frequently. Heshi didn't have time to take care of how surprised these two guys were. She awakened Shangguan, and she immediately asked, "How many people have the Feng family sent? What do they look like? What's their cultivation level? Without the commander's seal, how are they going to incorporate Jinwei army?" Shangguan hurriedly recounted his experience in the palace. Looking at the handsome face of Heshi's disguise, his heart moved. He couldn't help but say softly, You are the master of the Shengda Hall, miracle healer Shiyu? Heshi did not pay attention to him, but she fell into deep thought instead. The gray cloth, the black cloak, and the souls of the people who were killed were sucked away. I think I probably know who the person is. It really is a small world. Shangguan saw her being silent, and he couldn't help but kneel and kowtow vigorously on the ground. His Royal Highness King of Hell, miracle healer the Feng family members have invaded into the palace. I don't know how my father will end up. Please save my Shangguan family. Heshi frowned and said, "Where is the Jinwei army stationed? How far is it from Yanjing City?" Shangguan was a little lost looking at her. He didn't understand why she asked this suddenly. Instead, Xian Wu stepped forward and said, reporting to Prin, "Young Master Shi, the Jinwei army station position is a bit far from the Yanjing City. It takes one night to reach even with flying sword because you have to bypass the magical beast forest to reach the western outskirts where the army is stationed." Heshi's heart was moved. She looked at Xian Wu. "What if we go through the magical beast forest?" 2 hours at most. Xian Wu was stunned before answering. A smile appeared at the corner of Heshi's mouth. She looked at Shangguan and said lightly, "We can go to the palace to save your father and Shangguan family, but I have one condition." "What conditions?" "Jinwei army will no longer belong to the Jinling kingdom from now on. No matter where the Jinwei army goes in the future, your Shangguan family can no longer bother about it." After Shangguan agreed to Heshi's condition and went down to recover in a trance and fear, Heshi was about to set off to the palace. She asked Ouyang Haoshuan, Bai Hu and Xian Wu to take some iron Kirin to bypass the magical beast forest and rush to the camp where the Jinwei army was located. She went to the palace with Nangong Yu to meet the old acquaintance Black Law Protector first. After all, He Sha was a master of the nascent soul stage, and his techniques were weird. Except for Nangong Yu, no one could really be his opponent. When the palace's matter was resolved, she and Nangong Yu would go through the magical beast forest and directly arrived at the Jinwei army camp. Xian Wu didn't participate in the barbecue conference in the sealed dragon domain, so he didn't know about the matter of Jinwei army. At this moment, he couldn't help but wonder, "Master, why do we want to bother about the Jinwei army? Everyone knows that the Jinwei army is the private army of the Ouyang family. If there is no commander's seal and the bloodline of the Ouyang family, it is impossible to control the Jinwei army. That foolish prince, thinking that with the strong suppression of the Feng family and a few imperial decrees, Jinwei army can become his own private army, he is really dreaming. Just wait for it, he will only end up in a dead end." Bai Hu laughed and said, "I said Wu, you don't know about that, right? Now this Jinwei army is not the private army of the Ouyang family, but it belongs to our princess now." "What? How is this possible?" This time, Xian Wu was completely shocked. 100,000 Jinwei army, although it is not comparable to the Iron Kirin, it is also the second largest army in the Jinling kingdom. That actually belongs to the princess? How is this possible? Bai Hu smiled even more complacently as if he had credit in it. "Don't you know what kind of person our princess is? How many impossibles has she done?" General Ouyang gave Princess the commander's seal before he died. He promised to admit her as the new owner of the Jinwei army. What's more, General Ouyang's only son, Ouyang Haoshuan, even admitted Princess as his master. You tell me, isn't the Jinwei army belong to Princess? Should we take it back? Xian Wu slowly closed his widened mouth. he said fiercely after a long time. Yes. We must take it back. Since it belongs to Princess, it means it belongs to Master. Since it belongs to Master, how can the cowards of the Feng family take it? Take it back. I must take the Jinwei army back. Jinling Kingdom, in the palace. At this time, the night was dark and the palace, which was supposed to be brightly lit, was dead silent. The air was full of bloody smells. Only the palace where the imperial study room was located was still brightly lit. It was just that around the palace, every entrance and exit was guarded by the Feng family's people, so that those who were locked inside couldn't get out. Shangguan Wenji was tied up by 1,000 years dark steel at this time. He was thrown to a corner. The face full of dust and bloodstain had faintly exuded a dark green lifelessness. However, his eyes were staring at the man in cloak not far away. His red eyes were full of hatred. He wished he could eat his flesh and bones. In the lobby not far away, the people who were tied were thrown to the ground. Some of these people were his children and concubines, some were palace guards, and some were eunuchs. Each of them was a martial artist with some cultivation, but now, their cultivation had become the cause of their death. He Sha leisurely sat alone on the emperor's throne with his legs crossed. And above him was a gray-black flag that was continuously draining souls from a twitching and dying martial artist on the ground. As the soul on his body was completely emptied, the martial artist rolled his eyes and completely turned into a corpse. As he lost his soul, he would not be able to reincarnate ever again. It was as if he had disappeared in this world like ashes. He Sha saw that this person's soul had been drained, and he immediately waved his hand, "Change another one." Immediately, a man in black came up with another young man in brocade and threw him to the ground. "Don't kill me, don't kill me. I'm the 9th prince. Who? Father, save me. Save me." However, the miserable cry and begging for mercy could not save his life. As his soul was sucked away, his body twitched like he was having a spasm, blood foam came out from his mouth, his eyes rolled up as he died. He Sha looked at the pure black soul refining flag above him, then he saw the ghost face slowly taking shape. He couldn't help but laugh. Great, great. The purity of this soul is really good. It is even worthy of 5 guards. It seems that the children of the emperor is really different. Get me another prince, beast. You kill my wife and children, I fight to the death with you. Shangguan Wenji roared. The spiritual power of his whole body skyrocketed wildly. He actually broke free from the 1,000 years dark steel, and he pounced toward He Sha. I will perish together with you. He Sha didn't show the slightest panic on his face. His face was full of contempt as he saw Shangguan Wenji leaping over. Don't overreach yourself. As soon as he spoke, the ghost face that had just formed above him immediately rushed over. Shangguan Wenji condensed spiritual power and slammed his fist toward the ghost face, but he only felt a sharp pain in his arm and shoulder. Ah, dash! Shangguan Wenji let out a scream, then he saw that his shoulders and arms were withering at a speed visible to the naked eye. They drooped down like a branch that had lost nourishment. He could no longer control them. In addition to the pain in his shoulder and arm, Shangguan Wenji also felt cold from his body as if his soul was drawn away. The ghost face that had bitten Shangguan Wenji became more solid again, and it quickly returned to He Sha. He Sha was overjoyed when he saw the recovery of the ghost face. He laughed wildly. Shangguan Wenji, I initially wanted to keep you alive so that you will be useful to me in the future. I didn't expect you to be so ignorant. Since you are so eager to become the nourishment of my ghost face, I will fulfill you. After finishing speaking, he commanded the ghost face above him and gave a low smile. Go, baby, he is gold core. He even has the weak dragon ore on him. His soul is a great tonic to you. Maybe if you devour it, you can almost recover. I'm still waiting for the day you are promoted to Geisha. The ghost face pounced at Shangguan Wenji under He Sha's command. It widened its pitch-black mouth. Shangguan Wenji was desperate. He closed his eyes sadly. However, the expected pain did not come. Shangguan Wenji only heard a bang in his ear. Then someone uttered a stern scream. but this scream was not from him. Shangguan Wenji opened his eyes in panic. A tall body somehow being thrown in front of him, blocking the ghost face. That person could only let out a scream, then his soul was devoured by the ghost face. He was unable to resist at all. Shangguan Wenji knew this person, but he wasn't his subordinate or children. He was from the Feng family. What exactly is going on? He Sha was also taken aback by this incident. When he saw the appearance of the man being sucked by the ghost face, he was suddenly furious. That turned out to be a martial artist with an advanced level of the gold core stage. He had a high status among the children of Feng family. However, he was easily subdued now, and he was thrown out and let the ghost face devour his soul. He Sha sternly shouted, "Who is sneaking behind? Show yourself? People who dare to touch my Feng family people are looking for death." As soon as He Sha's voice sounded, a young man wearing a blue brocade slowly walking into the gate of the palace not far away. The young man's clothes were simple and without decoration, but when his beautiful and clear face appeared in front of people, it was as bright as the sun, attracting everyone's attention. As soon as the young man walked into the temple, he couldn't help kicking the man in black corpse whose soul had been drained. He couldn't help but shook his head and smiled. "Tisk, it's so pitiful, all his soul is being eaten up." Did he ever expect he would end up as such one day when he was catching people for you to feed the ghost face? "It's you!" He Sha's eyes lit up suddenly, then he seemed to burst into anger. "I never expect you to show up yourself before I look for you. Haha, it's just right that my master and young master are looking for you. When I offer you to them, it will be a huge contribution. Last time, you had that old freak helping you. Let's see if you are so lucky this time to find another person to save you." As he said, he stretched out his hand and grabbed toward Heshi's throat with a dense black air lingering on it. However, the next moment, He Sha was surprised to find that Heshi had disappeared. There was also a sharp pain on his ghost hand. He Sha snorted and stepped back a few steps. He then raised his head and met Nangong Yu's cold face and eyes. His hands were behind his back, and his expression was as graceful and cold as he was strolling in a garden, but his words carried a killing intent. "He Sha, who did you say you want to offer?" He Sha's eyes widened suddenly and he blurted out, "Nangong Yu, why are you here?" Nangong Yu looked at Heshi who had just been pulled out of the danger by him, and he smiled faintly. "My princess is here, so I'm of course here as well." Princess?" He Sha exclaimed, "Who is your princess?" His eyes fell on Heshi, and his voice became even more unbelievable. "You are talking about Shiyu? Isn't he a man?" Nangong Yu did not pay attention to his shock, but he looked at him coldly with a sharp gaze. "You Feng family actually dares to have ill intention of my princess? You are really tired of living." As he said, he stretched out his hand and squeezed Heshi's little hand and chuckled softly. "Sheer, you have dealt with those people outside just now, and now it's time for your husband to perform. Go and take a rest by the side." Nangong Yu's figure flickered after he spoke. He launched an attack at He Sha. Although He Sha was frightened and furious, he immediately raised the soul-refining flag and fought with Nangong Yu. Heshi couldn't help but smile when he thought of Nangong Yu's words. This man's words is getting more and more shameless recently. However, there was a touch of warmth in her heart. She knew Nangong Yu's strength, so she naturally didn't worry that he would lose to He Sha. Her strength was too far away from He Sha now, so she would only be a hindrance if she tried to help. So Heshi didn't bother with the two people who were fighting, but she turned and looked at Shangguan Wenji. Shangguan Wenji just realized that the people who came in were Shiyu and Nangong Yu. He only felt like he had survived a desperate situation. His tears kept gushing out and blended with the bloodstain, making him look very unsightly. But thinking of his son, Shangguan Wenji quickly asked while choking, "Mr. Shi, how is my son Shangguan Heng? Is he still alive?" As soon as Shangguan Wenji said this, a beautiful woman beside him also showed anxious expression, staring at Heshi closely. Heshi glanced at the woman and guessed that she should be the mother of 6th Prince Concubine Zhu. Just looking at the enchanting and charming look of the woman made it really difficult to connect with Zhu Yichun and Zhu Zhongba. He nodded and said, "Don't worry, Shangguan Heng is now in King of Hell Mansion. He is fine." Shangguan Wenji was overjoyed at once, but when he thought of what happened in Breaking Spirit Mountain, he was full of guilt and felt that he could not lift his head in front of this young man. "Mr. Shi, I'm really sorry about the incident on Breaking Spirit Mountain. At first I wronged you. Later, I knew the truth. I knew that Re was killed by Feng Lianing. However, due to the power of Feng family, I dare not say anything. Our Shangguan family treats you that way. I didn't expect you to still come to save me today." He interrupted him coldly, "You don't have to apologize to me because there are conditions for me to save you. I have also negotiated this condition with your son Shangguan Heng." What conditions? He smiled slightly and said in a deep voice, "I want Jinwei army." How can this be?" Shangguan Wenji exclaimed, but he immediately reacted. He shivered all over his body, then he said in a low voice, "Mr. Shi, I'm not greedy for Jinwei army, but this Jinwei army is the private army of the Ouyang family. It cannot be mobilized without a commander's seal. Moreover, Jinwei army is the only thing left by the Ouyang family. I really hope that Ouyang Haoshuan will come back. This is the only thing I have left to compensate the Ouyang family." Shangguan Wenji's words eased He's expression a lot. This old emperor doesn't seem to be as cold-blooded and ruthless on the surface, and he is really full of guilt for Ouyang family. He pursed her lips. She slowly took out a commander's seal from her arm. She opened up her slender palm, and an ochre-red beast-shaped commander's seal was lying there. "Ah dash!" Shangguan Wenji exclaimed, Isn't this Jinwei army's commander's seal? Why is it in your hand?" He put away the commander's seal and said faintly, "Before General Ouyang died, I happened to be by his side, and he handed over the commander's seal to me. As for Ouyang Haoshuan, he has now rushed to the Jinwei army camp." "Ouyang Haoshuan is still alive?" Shangguan Wenji trembled with excitement. "He is really alive? Great. It's so great." Shangguan Wenji only felt his heart that was eaten up by guilt could finally see the light again. He looked at the Black Law Protector who was fighting with Nangong Yu and his trembling children in the palace. He bit his teeth and said with a trembled, "Okay, I'm willing to issue the imperial decree. As long as the person holding the commander's seal receives the Jinwei army, and Ouyang Haoshuan is still alive, then the Jinwei army will no longer belong to the Jinling kingdom. It no longer belongs to my Shangguan family. But please Mr. Shi and King of Hell, save my Shangguan family." He smiled and said with a clear voice, "Okay, deal." After speaking, she walked to Shangguan Wenji's side, held his intact hand, and slowly injected water spiritual power into him. As the spiritual power entered Shangguan Wenji's meridians, his physical condition was clearly presented to her. Shangguan Wenji's injuries were actually very serious. Even his internal organs had suffered certain dislocation and damage. Especially his right hand, not to mention it turned dry and necrotic, but it also hindered the movement of the meridians throughout the body. If these meridians were blocked forever, then Shangguan Wenji's cultivation would go backward little by little, and his body would decline gradually until he ages like a mortal. Shangguan Wenji saw He frowning slightly, and the little hope in his heart also turned into despair. He said in a low voice, "Mr. Shi, you don't have to force yourself. I know my physical condition very well. I'm very happy to be able to hold until you to come and save my children. I have written the succession edict. Please pass it to Henger for me and ask him to protect the Jingling kingdom. Also, that impudent Shangguan Qi, he took the fake edict. By the time, he will definitely collude with the Feng family." "Shut up." He interrupted him impatiently. "Who said you will die? It's just a little bit of atrophy of the flesh and blood meridians. What is there to die? But even if it is cured, you can't use your hand that well and your cultivation can no longer be improved." Shangguan Wenji froze in place suddenly. The tears of despair were still on his face. His eyes widened stupidly at this time, looking indescribably ridiculous. He picked up the silver needles and plunged into his acupuncture points quickly. With the influx of silver needles and vigorous water spiritual power, Shangguan Wenji only felt that her originally dried meridians and dantian seemed to be moisturized. He couldn't tell how comfortable was it. He stared blankly at the handsome young man in front of him. He looked only about 16 years old, but his eyes were so calm. When talking about medical skills and when applying needles, he was so calm, making him believe for no reason. As long as Shiyu was there, he could be saved. Young miracle healer, Shiyu? No wonder, so many people say that he is ingenious once in a lifetime. No wonder he can manage the Shengda Hall that even the Doctors Association and Feng family covet. After the acupuncture treatment, to ensure that Shangguan Wenji's meridians could run smoothly, He threw a porcelain bottle to him. This is the 4th grade meridians cleansing pill. You take 1 pill a day, and your arm's blood and meridians will recover after 1 month. Although it isn't as flexible as before and you basically can't take weapons, but it is still fine to do daily chores. After that, she just let Shangguan Wenji be gratitude on his own. She turned and watched the battle between Nangong Yu and He Sha. At this moment, the Feng family in this palace had been dealt with by them, only He Sha was left. And Purple Abyss Vine had also covered the surroundings of the palace to prevent the news from spreading out and alerting the Feng family in Yinjing City. So He and Nangong Yu were more at ease. Especially Nangong Yu's cultivation was much higher than He Sha, so when he was fighting with He Sha, he had a kind of laziness and leisure like playing cat and mouse. Such contempt caused He Sha's anger to rise a little bit. He was almost hysterical. On the other hand, Nangong Yu was very leisure. He had a half-smile on his handsome face, and his every action was full of intoxicating charm. He stared blankly at the man with a completely different appearance from the man she usually got along with, and she would never admit that her heart was beating constantly. No one in Miluo continent didn't know that King of Hell Nangong Yu looked good, but how many people had seen him look so freaking handsome? How many women wouldn't be moved seeing such a man? Even the little guys in the void couldn't help but jump out, watching the man in battle obsessively. Little Egg held his small face with his paws and admired, "Daddy is so handsome. I want to be like Daddy to become a man of indomitable power." Little Golden Dragon also tooted, "Boss, your husband's potential and future are really limitless. Maybe his future achievements will be more terrifying than my former master." Before Little Golden Dragon had finished speaking, he heard a bang. He Sha was knocked heavily to the pillar. However, this light crash didn't hurt him, but Nangong Yu's sloppy and playful attitude made his expression look extremely ugly. He got up from the ground, stared at Nangong Yu fiercely, gritted his teeth and said, "Nangong Yu, what do you mean? Are you really going to turn on the Feng family? Did you forget that the master of our Feng family saved your life before?" "Saved me?" Nangong Yu sneered. "If you have a life to go back, you might as well help me ask Feng Tianba if he is my benefactor or my enemy. What exactly does Feng family owe me?" "Oh, you know." He Sha's expression changed all of a sudden. He almost exclaimed. Nangong Yu raised his eyebrows. "Oh, you know it too. Then you don't have to go back and ask Feng Tianba. What's more, you don't have the life to go back." "Nangong Yu, do you really think I'm afraid of you?" He Sha's face was pale. He said with a gloomy face, "You and I are both at the nascent soul stage. I stepped into the nascent soul stage several decades earlier than you. You really think you can get an advantage under my skills? I didn't get serious with you just now because my ghost face has just recovered, so I can't bear to let it hurt again." After He Sha finished speaking, the ghost face that had been retrieved into the soul refining flag to digest the soul slowly rose up. Compared with the time when it bit Shangguan Wenji, the ghost face at this time had become a lot more solid. The temperature in the room dropped suddenly when it appeared. It sent a chill down everyone's spine. On the other hand, He Sha tore open the cloak, revealing the body without any clothes inside. It was just this body. As soon as people saw it, they couldn't help but scream in terror. They almost fainted. His whole body withered like a tree branch, and his whole body was enveloped in a black gas. There were countless ferocious ghost faces looming in the black gas as if they wanted to struggle out, and as if they wanted to swallow his body. Is this still a person? What kind of cultivation does this Heisha practice? Nangongyu was not surprised, but raised his eyebrows and said with a half-smiled, Feng family still claims to be the righteous family, but all the people under them are characters like these. If I'm right, you should be cultivating evil technique, right? What's more, it is the most sinister soul-type evil technique. With your current cultivation, you should have at least taken the souls of tens of thousands of martial artists. When did Feng family fall to the point of colluding with the people of the evil way? If this news is announced, can Feng family still gain a foothold in the Miluo continent and the Tsangming kingdom? Heisha sneered, but he was not scared at all. He faintly glanced across everyone there. It's a pity that all of you will die today. No one can live to tell my secrets. His sinister gaze stared at Nangongyu sternly and sneered, Nangongyu, do you think you're so great just because you're called King of Hell? Aren't you just a dog of the Feng family? You really think you are someone important? I will teach you a lesson on behalf of Master today, then I will bring you back to the Feng family. It's up to Master to deal with you. After speaking, the soul-refining flag in his hand suddenly became larger. The sky was shaking constantly. As his flag shook, the evil spirits possessed him rushed out one by one. In the palace that was originally brightly lit, it was instantly enveloped by an evil chi. The people present suddenly seemed to be in hell. Those who had cultivation shivered, and their faces were pale. Those who didn't have cultivation could not withstand the erosion of the gruesome ghost chi and passed out into a coma. These ghosts were the most hostile part of the souls eaten by the ghost face, especially those souls who were tortured to death by Heisha were more gruesome and violent. They were even intolerable to the martial artist with cultivation. The evil spirits flew through the crowd, making everyone scream, but they couldn't escape. And the ghost face became bigger after the evil spirits rushed out, charging straight at Nangongyu. The only ones in this palace that were not affected were Heshi and the others. For some reason, when a group of evil spirits rushed toward Heshi, it seemed that there was something around Heshi that made them extremely scared. They just circled around and fled in a hurry. Heshi originally even cast out the Li Shui sword. Li Shui sword could be enchanted with fire's spiritual power. It was the best weapon for killing ghosts. However, she was shocked to find that these evil spirits seemed to be greatly frightened when they got near her. They fled hurriedly. Little Egg seemed to be very interested in these evil spirits and wanted to catch them, scaring them to run faster. Heshi's action was still quick. She grabbed Little Egg back in an instant. Heshi lowered her head and met the big shiny eyes of Little Egg. The little guy pursed his lips. Mom, why don't you let Little Egg catch those ghosts? Auntie Little Purple likes these the most. She will definitely like it. Little Egg's words reminded Heshi. She immediately released the original body of Purple Abyss Vine. As soon as the main vine of Purple Abyss Vine appeared in the palace, the branches and leaves trembled with excitement when they felt the strong ghost spirits inside. This time, it couldn't wait for Heshi to issue an order before rushing out, jumping straight at the evil spirits. Those evil spirits that were scared by Heshi and the others were now even more miserable. As long as the evil spirit was caught by Purple Abyss Vine, they were all absorbed, not a single one escaped. In the blink of an eye, the originally noisy palace due to the evil spirits was cleaned up by the purple vines, then it remained calm again. It was just that Heisha released these evil spirits, not to deal with Heshi, but to empower the strength of the ghost face and let it deal with Nangongyu. As long as Nangongyu was dead, could he, a master of nascent soul stage, not be able to deal with those nobodies? So Heisha didn't care about the evil spirits at Heshi's side at all. He just commanded the ghost face to firmly entangle Nangongyu. The huge ghost face in front of Nangongyu suddenly split into countless ghosts. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.